email, because Arlene, there's going to be a quiz on this next week.
Oh, shoot. No,
Actually,
Chris.
I think I'll send her a registered letter.
Right, there you go.
Return receipt requested.
Right.
Insured.
All right. Hey, we're live, so watch what you say. Casablanca.
Okay. Do we have everybody in yet?
Paul's not in yet, I don't think.
They're coming in right now.
Paul's in now. Justin's in.
Jerry's not going to be here, right? He's in
No,
Florida?
okay.
Okay, so we got 6. Okay. All right, we got Jack, we got Paul, we got Justin, we got Art. How about Kat and Mike?
She's here.
I'm here. Let me just,
Okay,
there we go.
Mike, okay, we can start the meeting then. Okay, like to call to order the Town of Clinton Planning Board virtual meeting at 7:31 on February 15th, 2022. Please note this meeting will be held virtually only via Zoom. To obtain a link to participate by Zoom, email your name, address, and phone number to the Town of Clinton address by 4 p.m. of the meeting night. Governor Kathy Hochul signed legislation S period 5001/A 4001, extending the virtual access to public meetings under New York State open meetings law, which allows New Yorkers to virtually participate in local government meetings during the COVID-19 pandemic. The legislation which was initially implemented by executive order during last year's state of emergency, allows state and local government meetings that are normally held in person to be held remotely instead, as long as the public has the ability to view or listen to the meeting, and as long as the meeting is recorded and later transcribed. This statutory change will reduce the need for congregation at public meetings while the Delta variant is prevalent, while ensuring public business can continue. Okay, the first item on the agenda is Malaya, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, area variance. Is anybody here for that?
Yes. Matthew
Thank you.
Pecora.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you know, this is a two-step process. The planning board will review your application, and then we'll make a recommendation to the zoning board of appeals, which will then make the final decision on your application. So
Thank
if you can tell us what you're doing, and then we'll go from there.
All right. My client, I'm the architect of record on this project, has a one-family residential home. And they want to do an addition to the home. But the zone that they are in, AR3, is minimum lot size of 3 acres. The lot that he owns is roughly half an acre. So the existing house itself is non-compliant in that it doesn't meet any of the setbacks. Any addition will be non-compliant because it will further exacerbate any type of setback problem. He'd like to add a 2-bedroom, 2-story addition to the home. It will be connected by a hallway or a corridor because we want to maintain the existing character of the original house and put something new, but we don't want to tie into them. And he's also asking for permission to put in a pool in his rear yard.
Okay. All right, Jack?
Um, the application says that with the addition, the property is going to maintain its residential character. Can you expand on that? What's this going to be used for?
It's going to remain a one-family home.
Is it going, well, Mr. Mali is not going to be living there, I assume, since he lives around the corner, right?
I assume he is not. I don't know if he's planning on moving, if he's planning on moving family into the house.
According to our zoning administrator, he was told by the contractor or somebody connected with this that it's going to be used for for short-term rentals. Is that right?
If that is clear, if that is the case, I am unaware of that. He did not tell me of any plans of renting the house.
Well, it's going to be kind of important in analyzing this to have some understanding of what it's going to be used for, since we have to decide whether, among other things, there could be a substantial detriment to the neighborhood. So can you give us any kind of enlightenment at all?
As far as what he plans on doing with his house?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what we're designing, I'm designing it for, it looks like a single family residential house to me.
Right.
We're doing an addition, which is not a large addition to the existing property comparatively.
But, you know, he owns a winery just down the
Yes,
road.
he does. He owns a winery.
Is-
If he is planning on doing, obviously he can't. I'm my understanding of the zoning is he cannot. I don't know if he's allowed to do rentals on the property itself, but he's not. It's not going to be like a.
So you have no knowledge at all of what the property is going to be used for?
From my understanding, it's a one-family residence.
I understand that, but you can use
Yeah.
a one-family
But-
residence for a
but
lot of
if he-
different things.
But if he's planning on doing something like, say, a bed and breakfast or something like that, I know by law, somebody has to live in the house. It has to be maintained.
All true, but you don't know what he plans to do with it.
No, I don't.
What about the pool? Is he proposing to put that in now or later?
I added it to the plans probably for future. I'm trying to avoid multiple processes. He wanted to put in a pool. I don't know that the pool is going to go in when the house is constructed, and I do not want to tie the C of O on the house to a pool.
So we don't necessarily have to consider the pool at this time. Is that right?
I would like it for future use, just to avoid another, hearing, another process of going through.
How many bedrooms are there in the house now?
Right now, I think there are two. There's one on the first floor that I guess it's not a bedroom or wasn't considered a bedroom initially, but I think officially it's two.
And you propose to take this up to 5?
Actually 6.
I'm sorry, 6?
The other two.
I'm confused then. I'm
Yeah,
looking at the plans I see on the second floor
two.
plan. It shows 1, 2, 3 bedrooms in the existing building, one
Right.
bedroom in the addition
On
proposed.
the first floor.
Right, the first floor shows 1 proposed bedroom in the addition, and
Right. And you'll have to excuse me, I did not write bedroom on the plan. That is my fault. I'm assuming that room is a bedroom. That's the way my observation of the house showed it.
so you're proposing to go from 2 to 6 bedrooms.
Yes.
I gotta tell you, I'm troubled by the fact that you come here without any idea of what this is going to be used for. I would have thought that just as a normal part of the architecture, you would have given some thought to that. It is what it is. We'll have to do what we can. Do you know whether this is going to be used in connection with the winery or not?
I can't say it may. I mean, if something is going to, if you feel that there will be some type of rental, then maybe it could be, but I don't see how it's related to the winery. It's not part of the property. It's just across the street from it.
Well, one possibility.
I mean, it's not gonna be a showroom or a tasting room or anything like that for the winery. as far as
I
know.
understand that, but if he's doing weddings, for example, at the winery,
Mhm.
he may be trying to, use this for the bridal parties, right? That's at least a possibility,
That is a possibility.
but we don't know. Does anybody else have questions that before we start discussing it, anybody else want to get clarification?
Yeah, I have a couple here. One, to me, this looks like a commercial venture here. When I added up all the additions, which included the pool deck, covered porch, the breezeway, we're looking at about 4,100 square feet, which is close to 20% of the land area of that half acre, which is well above what the code calls for. It's basically, if you look at the plan, it looks like the whole half acre is pretty much filled up with buildings or pools or patios or decks. So that bothers me a little bit, and there would obviously, you would need a variance for that. And that, I think, might be a difficult thing to do, but that's just my own opinion of it. And if this is, we don't know if this is going to be used for any type of commercial endeavor, such as a B&B or a non-hosted Airbnb. There's a lot of other things that we would need on this plan, one of which would be parking, and various other things. So I don't think we have the information, and there's all the information that we really need to move forward. But again, that's my opinion on this. Does anybody else have anything on this? Any questions or comments?
I have a question. So I look at the plan and I see a first floor and a second floor in the main house, and it does go from the main house itself goes from 2 bedrooms to 4. There is also an attic. I don't see that anywhere on the plans.
The attic is not, it's there, it's not being used, it's very difficult to get through. The headroom to it is, I didn't include it on the plans because it's definitely not going to be used for a space. It's almost impossible to get to as it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in terms of the addition, do you envision that to be used separately, or is that, I know there's 2 bedrooms, there's 2 bathrooms, 2 full baths,
Right.
family room.
Well, there's a the space below, there's not a lot of space in the main house. So we added another space for like for TV room, and then, because we didn't want to expand it too much, we went 2 stories. And then there was a lookout over the space, so it's a double height space there that can be utilized. It looks out into the yard. I don't see this as being separated from the house itself. The only reason for the connector is because we were looking at 2 different styles. I didn't want to really merge into the existing house because it would then cut off the bedrooms that are there. And it'd be easier to put some type of a breezeway or a hallway connecting the 2 houses. An enclosed breezeway.
So is that an enclosed breezeway, or
Yes.
is that fully built out?
It will connect 2 houses. It'll be conditioned. It'll have doors on either side so that you can pass through.
Do you envision any sort of, I mean, in the separate house, is there any kitchenette or anything, or is it
No.
just a family room?
Just a family, no kitchen, no. The only water would be for the bathroom.
Do you know what his septic is on his property?
That is a issue that we are exploring right now. In the house itself, we see the pipe going out. We're not sure where it goes. We know we're gonna need to work with a civil engineer to expand the septic and find a new place on the property. Right now, they have no record of its actual location.
Yeah. For a 6-bedroom house, you don't really have a lot of space. So it may very well be where you designed the pool to be. You don't know where it is.
I don't think so, because where I see the pipe coming out of the rear of the house is on the opposite side of the building. I don't think it's likely that they cut across the yard that way.
Is, to the board, is this considered, are we really considering this as an addition or as an accessory dwelling structure? I don't know, it looks like they're really 2 separate entities here.
I think there is a determination from the ZEO that it's not a separate for the code.
Because it doesn't have a kitchen. And an accessory dwelling unit apparently requires a
Yeah, it's
kitchen.
not accessory dwelling, but it's also because it's connected. It's a breezeway. It's not. I
It's
think
an,
it's
he said it was an
it's
accessory structure.
accessory structure, but not an accessory dwelling.
Yeah.
Is the breezeway, you said the breezeway is going to be conditioned,
Yes.
so it's not really a breezeway, it's,
It's a hallway, but because of its nature and the fact that you can walk, we'll have access on both sides.
yeah,
It feels like a breezeway.
So
But
the
it-
breezeway will be open?
no, it's conditioned, it has doors, but it's heated.
It's heated, okay.
So it's all glass or something, whatever. Okay.
Right.
So I think it really is an addition, because doesn't that mean there's a common wall? Like, I mean, maybe it's semantics, but
If it's fully enclosed,
yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
addition.
That's what it was.
if it's a breezeway, if you call it a breezeway, that implies it's a separate detached.
Yeah,
Um,
Well, it's counted as an accessory structure, but it's
Not
not an accessory dwelling.
I don't think it's an accessory structure if there's a conditioned hallway between the 2.
the
Why
pool
is
is an accessory.
It's not a
structure.
breezeway.
The pool is an accessory structure.
Yeah, the pool is, yeah.
Yeah, but according to the CEO, it's considered as an accessory structure because it's connected. Believe me, I argue with him about it because there is that connector.
Okay, I don't think that makes, I mean,
Per the code, according to our code.
well, but he's assuming it's a breezeway.
Yeah, he may
Thought it
change,
was a breezeway. It's not a breezeway.
right?
If I need to change the terminology,
Yeah.
I would.
There's no breeze blowing through it, right?
Not- If you open the windows, but.
Yeah, but-
All right, so I think when he talked to you, you said it's a breezeway. That's probably what it is, you know?
That's how it's labeled.
Yeah, and that's how you
That is
label
how I
it.
like it.
All right.
Yeah, that changes things a bit if it's a breezeway versus a hallway.
Yeah, so it's technically a hallway. You gotta change that thing.
So
How many variations are we looking at here? 4, 5?
at least 4, maybe more. I mean, I
And
don't, I don't know if you need a variance for lot coverage as opposed to building coverage, because as Art points out, that's going up dramatically, but I didn't see that as a specific requirement for lot coverage. That would make a fifth if there is such a requirement.
Yeah.
As far as I think it's open space requirements.
That's what I meant, yeah.
It still fits within the open space requirement.
It does, I thought.
What is the open space requirement?
75%.
Okay,
No, that would attribute to the square footage, you know, you're allowed 7% for the building coverage.
That's
And
building.
that's
Yeah.
building, but lot coverage is different. Open space is different, I think.
yeah, but he still needs the building coverage variance,
He does, that
definitely.
side, not counting the pool.
Yeah.
The front, side, and rear setbacks all need variance, as does the building coverage. That's 4. If you add in the pool, then that's an additional setback variance.
Yeah, but we're
So
talking
that
about
takes it up to 5.
the square footage of the pool has to be considered, the addition and all the, you know, the square footage versus the 7% of the lot, which is 0.5 times 43,560 times 7%, that's only 15 something. 1,500, whatever.
But what about adding accessory structure to a substandard lot? Is that just covered by the setbacks? Could we add accessory structure to?
I think you can. You can't.
Well, that's gonna be covered under the setback too.
Yeah, I don't think there's a separate rule on accessory structures.
Yeah,
Well, there's 3 max, so this would be. If
1 and 2,
that's 1, there's 2.
that's it.
The new covered patio, is that a separate structure?
No, that's considered landscaping. I mean, it depends. That's a patio, right? That's not really
It's an
like,
existing patio. We're talking about putting a covering over it.
The stone
Right.
patio?
The stone patio in the front, there's a step. We were thinking of putting like a portico. Or
so this one, you're gonna make it like a covered porch.
Right, correct.
Yeah, covered porch, it's not it's not a structure, or it's not counted as another structure.
Arlene, you said the pool counts towards building coverage? I thought.
Yes, they do.
Really?
We did this a
So-
couple of times. Remember that calculation that I did with the above ground pool? With the
So-
circumference and everything?
All right, so then it's more than 2,570 feet. It's considerably more.
This
you
pool
have-
is a structure, so
That's
it is,
what Yeah, that's what Art was saying. It gets close to 20%.
Yeah. Yeah, if you add in the deck, the new deck, the pool, the patio, and all that, as indicated on the plan, it brings it up to 4,100 feet plus, which is 19% of the lot.
Mhm.
I thought there was a difference between lot coverage and building coverage, but I apparently am wrong.
All right. I was under the impression that a pool was lot coverage and not building coverage.
yes, because it is a structure, a pool is a structure, so it is considered. The square footage, you have to count it.
Well, going back to Jack's questions in the beginning, my own personal opinion here is that I think we need to know what this is going to be used for. Because if it is just for a family and it's not rented out, it's not an Airbnb, that makes things a little bit different. And we're just dealing with variances, whether they get them or not. But if it's going to be used for anything else, commercially, there's a whole bunch of other things that we need to know about. And one is parking and the septic system and numerous other things. So, you know, that's kind of where I stand on this, that we need, I need more information. If the rest of the board feels that way, fine. If not, whatever.
I agree. I think the use is a critical part of the evaluation here, even in terms of the variance, because part of the consideration for a variance is whether there's a substantial detriment to the neighborhood. And the use to which the building is put may bear on that. Maybe we should kick this over until the applicant can come back with a fuller explanation of what it's going to be used for.
Well, now unless, I think there's somebody in here, who is this? Who is this? Who could speak? Is that the owner?
The owner is Mr. Malia, it says on the application.
No, I know, but there's one audience in here, the unidentified.
Well, this is not a public hearing.
No, I know, but if it's the owner, I'm talking, if it's the owner,
If
maybe.
he's the owner, then he or she should identify themselves. And then we can go from there.
I don't think the owner was planning on being here tonight. He told me he had something else going on.
One question I would also have is, you know, we're being asked to opine on specific setbacks and placement of these structures, but if you don't know what a septic is or where it's going to be, where it's feasible to be, again, a 6-bedroom septic is not small and it will take, you know, it will have to be placed. I mean, I know what a lot looks like. You know, it would be good to know where it will be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where the septic and the well is.
To confirm that these structures are actually viable as you place them on the map before we go and you know, discuss the specific placement and numbers.
So do we have a consensus that we would like the applicant to come back with more information that we've discussed?
I think so.
Okay.
Sure.
How about the rest of the board? Let me. Paul,
Yep, agreed.
Justin,
Where's-
Jeff-
Oh, he has a problem with the audio, but he is
Okay.
there. He's
Kat?
03. He's this guy.
I agree.
okay, Mike,
Yes, I agree.
okay, well, that's enough there, so, Matthew, I think that's what, the board will need, and we'll get you back on the, agenda when you're ready, okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a discussion for Duchess Reserve LLC, which I believe is a proposed subdivision. Is anybody here for that?
Yes, Mark Berminski and Seth Stickler here, and also the owners for Duchess Reserve are also Doug Maxwell and Christopher Derrick are also here.
Okay. How are you, Mark?
Good. How's everyone?
We're hanging in there.
So we'll just wait for Arlene to.
I'm getting it.
Okay. Yes, please.
Good evening. My name is Seth Stickle. I work with Mark Gurminski here this evening to represent Dutchess Reserve LLC, which is owned by Upstate Modernist. That is Doug Maxwell and Chris Gehrig, who have joined us this evening. Doug and Chris are heavily involved in development in the Northern Dutchess region. They have several projects locally. And before we get started on this project, just wanted to have them do a brief introduction of themselves and the type of work that they do and the approach that they'd like to take towards this work. So if either Doug or Chris might have a little something to say to the board, that would be great.
Great, thanks, Seth. Doug Maxwell here, and nice to meet everyone. Our first time in front of the board. As Seth was saying, we are a modernist architecture firm and builder in the area. We live in Milan and have offices in Rhinebeck Village. And we ran across this property and really just fell in love with it. We think it's a beautiful spot, and we put together what we believe is a thoughtful plan for a subdivision of the property with large parcels in keeping the character of the area, the agrarian character of the area. Our approach generally to our projects is sustainable focused. So we fully expect that there be some level of restriction, building envelopes placed on the parcel to limit further development.
Thank you.
Mark and Seth?
Yes, certainly. Just Arlene, if you wouldn't mind going back to just that first sheet before we dive right into the subdivision. Just want to describe the parcel a little bit. The parcel is approximately 111 acres located on the southwest side of Pumpkin Lane. It is a mostly wooded parcel with the exception of an existing agricultural aspect in the front road facing side of the property that is just an electric fence for grazing animals. The property has approximately, which frontage is that? No problem. The majority of the slopes on the site go across the open field and up into the western portion of the property. There are some small pockets of Army Corps of Engineer wetlands that have been field delineated and surveyed. Those wetlands, as you can see now on the plan, are located through the central kind of eastern portion of the site, and then also along the southern boundary. The wetlands are under 5 acres in size, which means that their controlled area by code is approximately 50 feet. That is also shown on the plan. Other than that, that's pretty much the majority of the site. There's approximately 1,000 feet of frontage along Pumpkin Lane. If we could go to the second sheet. So Dutchess Reserve LLC has taken a look at the parcel, and they would like to investigate a 6-lot subdivision. The subdivision is proposed with 2 main points of access. There will be 1 point of access located on sort of the north western portion of Pumpkin Lane. That is a 3-lot common access that will go across the field. There's an existing stream in the field with an existing culvert. We intend to utilize that existing crossing in the field. Similarly, there is an existing culvert which crosses the wetland portion, and we were looking to utilize that existing crossing as well. And the second common driveway is located just a little bit to the south and east along Pumpkin Lane, and that common driveway will also serve 3 lots. The common driveways will extend into the western portion of the site, where individual driveways will take from there. Each lot will have a well and a septic, The smallest lot in the 6-lot subdivision is approximately 10 acres. So these are not small lots. The intention of using the 2 common driveways is to sort of limit disturbance as much as possible, but also just provide the necessary access to the western portion of the site. If we can take a look at this picture here, you'll see that wetland in what is sort of the northeastern portion of the project does extend through. So we're doing our best to get around that wetland with the least amount of disturbance possible. The project will require a subdivision application from this board, as well as a soil erosion and sediment control permit and a wetlands permit for adjacent area impacts. And at this point, we'd like to look to the board to get some initial comments. This is a pre-application conference, so we're really looking to get an understanding of some of the board's concerns, if there are any, or just any kind of feedback that you might have for a proposal of this nature.
So I can start. So thanks for the presentation. Was there a change recently in the plan? I have a plan dated February 9th that has 7 lots.
Oh, yeah. He just
Okay.
sent it to me like tonight at 7:15.
Okay.
Yeah, the plan is evolving as
Okay.
we gain more field knowledge, as well as working with Dutchess Reserve. We are evolving sort of the lot layouts and plans. This is the most recent, and these locations, the actual physical home locations, were field identified, as well as the routes for both the common and individual driveways. And we're still working to identify even more of those locations. Reason being is because there's the southern common driveway entrance is actually an existing gated farm entrance. So we're utilizing those kind of elements, as well as the path of least resistance through the woods and to get up the slopes up the hill. So it is an evolving plan. And yes, you will note that there is a little difference from the plan that you received earlier in the week. And it has been reduced from a 7-lot to a 6-lot subdivision.
Okay. I mean, I'm recalibrating as quickly as I can.
Understood.
I think I think it's good that it went from 7 to 6, because my first comment was going to be that the original plan struck me as, kind of maximizing the number of lots that could be kind of jammed in here. And I wasn't really, I sort of had some issues with it. And so this is, I guess marginally better. I think, my comments were going to be on the other plan. Like some of them, I guess, still apply. I mean, we, just starting with we're dealing with, and I'm trying to see how this changed. It looks like we've got 3 access ways to the west in a row. Is that what we have?
Yeah, there's three lot lines there that with single common drive access for all the lots. So it's three lots for frontage of, and each lot has 40 feet or greater of frontage onto Pumpkin.
Right. And then you've got 2 to the west, to the east.
Correct.
And then you've got 1 lot in the middle that has its own, it's not a flag lot, right? Is that it's got 400 feet of width?
Yeah, that's correct. It has.
Okay.
Yeah.
All of the lots have the 400 feet of width at the building.
And then, but they're rear lots. So you get, right, it's at some point they reach 400 feet, but I have no doubt, we've seen, we know the quality of the work that you guys do. So I have no doubt that you've, all the measurements are there and all of that. I think, I think my issues really go to, we allow rear lots, but they're not favored. And we can only approve them if we feel that they, contribute to you know, I can't remember what the language is, but you know, they contribute to the goals of the zoning law, and they're, you know, environmentally sound. And so we have the discretion to limit the number of rear lots. And so, you know, we're looking at 5 out of 6 are rear lots. You know, that's just, you know, normally that sort of implies that, you know, you're sort of, you're filling in, you know, we're trying to put the maximum number of lots onto a parcel that maybe can't accommodate them, but, or that may be the policy of the law, but anyway, but some of the limitations, you know, we don't allow more than 2 access ways to abut, and you would need a variance for that. And we also don't allow kind of symbolic access ways, so they all have to, at least theoretically, be physically capable of allowing access independent of the common driveway. And I know there's a pond over to the west, on the west side of the, you know, near the road there, where at least one access way I think goes right through the pond. So that, I don't know how that would work for that particular lot. And as you noted, there are steep slopes, there are wetlands. And I'm just wondering if there's a different way that we can accomplish, you know, to me, this is something where reducing the density, you know, to a sort of lower number would work better for this particular parcel. And that's just my sort of overall impression, given all of the constraints on the lot, on the parcel. You know, and I'd sort of like to have a discussion about that. I don't know how the other board members feel. The only other thing I would say as a technical point is, for a project like this, the zoning law requires that we ask for a conceptual cluster plan be submitted with the regular subdivision plan. And so, you know, if this kind of density is if you're looking for 6 units on this parcel, you know, we would have to consider the cluster as an alternative, and determine if that, you know, reduce some of the environmental and other impacts of the development. So I just throw that out as it's a not discretionary on the board's part. It's mandatory. So I don't know. I would open it up to the other board members, because I'm still thinking through kind of what my other comments, but I just be curious to see what other people feel. Don't all.
Well, I'm gonna have to reserve anything, any comments, because I'm having trouble with my computer, and I can't even see the new plan. So I'll step back on this for the time being until I can really take a look at it. My apologies, but I've already lost control here.
So if I could just speak to one of Paul's comments, is I'd just like to just touch on the uniqueness of the shape of this lot. You know, we do have 1,000 feet of frontage, which is to accommodate, you know, more than rear lots. However, there's a point in the lot, as you can see, as it comes into the parcel, where it necks down to a width, and that doesn't leave you know, accessibility to the remaining, 100 acres or more in the western side. So that did drive some of the design, and some of the layout of this is just that unique shape of the parcel as well.
And so then also, Paul, with regard to, this is Mark Kaminsky. So also, and understanding the clustering. So when you look at the property, right? So we've gone back and you know, looked at the areas that are conducive to, you know, to development for single family residential. And that's where, you know, the location of the, you know, proposed houses are shown, you know, based on topography, in consideration of topography and wetlands. So, I understand the cluster concept, but I guess, and when you look at the way that the proposed home sites are sited, they are they're all, generally in the same area. I won't say clustered because of, certain separation between them, but it's, I guess you could I guess I'll broadly say that they're all clustered in that one, through that one section of the property. And also, Seth and I took a look at in the development of this, they're only disturbance to maybe like between 10 and 11% of the site. And so it's only, it's a 111 acre property, and, our total disturbance is, between 11 and 12 acres. And that includes, all the driveways and areas, developed around the home sites for, adequate water, enough area for adequate water and sewer to serve those home sites. So the goal is to minimize the amount of disturbance to the property. And so, that was certainly one of the goals, and that's what we were trying to achieve with, working with Dutchess Reserve on this. And, it's what's reflected in the plan that we're looking at now.
Yeah.
When did you acquire this property? It's relatively recent, right?
Yes, just in November of last year.
Okay, so you knew what you were buying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not quite familiar with Dutchess Reserve. Could you walk me through some projects that you have worked on? Sounds like you've done quite a few of these.
The name of our firm is Upstate Modernist. So we have a studio office in Rhinebeck Village. Our first project in the area was Brooklyn Heights Farm, which is on Brooklyn Heights Road in Milan. That was a 200 acre property that we did subdivide through the town of Milan and placed a conservation easement on that property with a similar approach of large parcels and thoughtfully placed homes. We also have worked on a series of 3 homes on the Pasture Rock subdivision, which is in the town of Milan. This was a previous 12 parcel subdivision that was completed by the prior owner, Dave Bornstein, and we purchased 6 of the remaining parcels and have developed 3 homes on those 6 parcels. So again, taking an approach of limited development in large parcels with thoughtfully placed homes.
Do you put any deed restrictions on these parcels? Do you let them do short-term rental? Is this residential, full-time? How does it typically?
It is. It's a good question. Is it full-time or weekend or summer homes? That's definitely changed over the last 2 years. I would say for the most part, it's 50-50 with the folks that end up living in these homes between primary residence and weekend or second home. We placed a conservation easement on the first property on Brooklyn Heights Road. The second property, Pasture Rock, already had deed restrictions on the property. We did go through a modification of that with the town of Milan, but fully support that approach. And we also worked on a property recently that has a conservation easement on it as well. So as I said at the onset, we fully support limiting the deed restriction or similar that would limit further development and limit to building envelopes.
Yeah, and that's, I think we appreciate that. I don't know that there would be much room for further development with this plan, given the frontage. So I don't know that other than, to Kat's point, deed restrictions limiting short-term rentals, let's say, if that were something, but I don't know that, there'd be any room for further subdivision. Not sure where that would go. Because it seems like it's fully kind of, planned out as it is.
Not with the current zoning, Paul.
No, you couldn't, well, not, where would you get another driveway in?
Yeah, well, you could have, anyway, well.
You really couldn't.
And even to the point of limiting development outside of building envelopes or accessory structures and so forth is what I was really referring to.
Yeah, okay.
Beyond that. And in terms of short-term rentals, we're not seeing that with any of the folks that we work with. I know the town of Milan is in process of redefining that and limiting that anyway. So it's definitely something that is not on our radar.
I just, and I know, I'm sure this will be done as unobtrusively as possible, but it seems inevitable that we're talking about, obviously 6 house sites, 6 septic systems. We've got roads or driveways going through, most of the property at various places. And I mean, this is an area with big, Pumpkin is big parcels, old houses. This will really stand out as kind of different from what's there. And, I don't, part of our, whatever purview or, the assignment that we have when we look at these things is we're, supposed to try to tie them in with what's there. And make sure there's not too much disruption in the, in the neighborhood, and that it kind of is consistent with our master plan. And it's very high quality work. I'm not criticizing anybody involved, really. I just would like to see it done a little bit differently if that's possible. And I'm happy to talk to everybody involved and try to, figure something out that maybe is a little less obtrusive, a little less ambitious in terms of the number of lots, and maybe fulfills what you're trying to do and what we're trying to do at the same time. I don't know, is that something you guys would consider? Or
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're here to hear feedback and are open to exploring what is reasonable. In terms of the character of the area, that's something that we've actively thought about and placed only one home at the viewable from the road for that reason. So we really wanted to keep the character of the area because it's a really beautiful road and beautiful spot. That's been in our mind, as well as the placement of the home based on spending quite a bit of time on property. But Paul, to your point, absolutely open to exploring further ways that we can improve this in the eyes of the board.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
And just to build on Doug's point a little bit, the majority of the property west of the wetland is completely wooded. The only visible lot is going to be lot 4, and the driveway, the common driveway that leads to lots 1, 2, and 3. That is an open field, so the intention was to try to get the common driveway for lots 1, 2, and 3 as far out of the view and up against that wooded wood line as possible. And then having just tucked behind what is actually an existing stand of trees on that southeastern corner there, where the house site is for lot 4. It's only really visible when you're traveling, from the west to east direction on Pumpkin Lane. So there was certainly some intention there that the remaining 5 lots would not be visible from the street, in keeping with the Pumpkin Lane. So I just wanted to better describe it for anybody who wasn't familiar with that area.
Absolutely, and thanks, Seth, and I'll add to that just to reconfirm that the 2 driveway entrances are leveraging existing entrances. So this is not creating net new entrances to the property. These are existing. Back in the property in the wooded portion for the parcels towards the rear, these are also leveraging existing farm roads. There are a series of farm roads through the property that this is leveraging as much as possible. Really, again, just trying to limit the impact.
I think that's great. I think inevitably, in the wooded sections, you're going to have a lot of trees being cut to make room for these sites. And I understand they may not all be visible from the road. But the environmental impact will be there, and you know, and I can't see the grade. I have the grade on or the slopes on the bigger map, but maybe you've reconfigured the driveway so it avoids the worst of that. But you know, that's also going to be an issue. And then obviously we've got water here, and as I said at the beginning, I mean, one of the flagpoles is in a pond, and I'm not sure how we deal with that, because it can't, as I said, I mean, it has to, you know, under our law, it has to provide physical access, even if it's not being used as a driveway. It has to have the ability to provide it. So, you know, that's something to consider. Anyway, I don't know. Does anybody else have any other general comments? I would.
I just have a question with regard to the physical aspect. So I remember a while ago having this come up on a while ago on a project, and so in the town of Clinton. And so I thought it was important to have approvable access to the town road, right? And so, but you're saying that access has to stay on the lot for its.
It does, for a rear lot. That's true.
Okay.
That's actually written into the zoning law. We've had people who have not been aware of that.
Okay.
Who, you know, and I think the point is that I assume the policy of that is to, you know, you don't have these ridiculous access ways where, you know, that turn 90 degrees and then go straight up a cliff, and then, you know, they kind of want it to be an actual access way, even if you have a common driveway plan like you have, and, you know, probably to limit the number of lots that you can, you know, that you can design. But I don't know. I didn't draft it, but so I just think we should think this through. I mean, if you're willing to, you know, have a conversation and see if we can, like, maybe reconfigure this a little bit, and maybe you're not willing to do that, and you know, and the board will have to just decide how it wants to handle this. But I will say, we, you know, the cluster concept has to be submitted regardless of how we end up going. It is supposed to be submitted as part of any formal application. So, you know, we'd have to see that. I know that, yeah.
To work with and have conversations with anyone on the board regarding this. Absolutely, I'm pretty sure that Doug and Chris would agree with that. So however the board would like us to facilitate those conversations, we would certainly like to do that.
Does anybody else have any thoughts?
I agree with you, Paul, and at some point in time, you know, we'll probably have to get our engineer involved in this also. I don't think we need him today, but we're gonna definitely, you know, need Peter at some point in time.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first major subdivision we've had in a while, so I completely agree with that.
Yeah, and if this was meant to be a discussion, and I think we're all kind of on the same page here. So I think a meeting of the minds is not going to be a bad thing, and can speed up the process a little bit. So however we all want to do it is fine with me.
So yeah, I mean, so Mark, I mean, and guys, I'm assigned to this one.
Okay.
And so I'm available to talk about it. I'm sure Art, you know, if you wanted Art and me to preview it and, you know, talk about it before you come back, that would be, I think we'd be happy to do that.
Great, thank you. So how do we best arrange that with you, Paul? Sure.
Hey,
Arlene,
Okay.
Arlene, what do we do?
yes, Mark, just coordinate with me and I'll take care of the rest.
Okay, Thank you, Arlene.
Yeah, so, what are we doing? So it's just Paul and Art?
I think we're gonna keep talking, and maybe Art and I can have a call or Zoom.
Yeah,
Yeah, we could do this.
We could do a Zoom. That would be good.
So why don't, let's say you want them to, create another plan first and talk about it? Or?
Well, we can start with what
Have a
we can
meeting
start with what they
first?
have and just say, here are some ideas, and just see if there's any meeting of the minds on any kind of revisions. Rather than redrawing something, we could just sort of see what our specific ideas are.
Well, that's why I think, if you want them to talk, discuss it first, the owner and Mark and Seth, and, see what.
Yeah, they can talk. Obviously,
You know what
they'll.
I'm saying? And then present us a new plan, and then Art and Mark and everybody,
I think we all were hit with a whole bunch of new ideas tonight, and we're all thinking about them. So yeah, absolutely. They need time to think about it. We need time to think about it, and then we can talk about it. Yeah.
okay.
It's our intention of coming before the board tonight for pre-application, right? Before we start going crazy
Yeah.
on details, is to really work this stuff out. So that
I think that's you guys. I know you guys do that, and it's a great thing, and not everybody does it. It's a great idea. So.
But I mean, Mark, you know what the board wants and the owner knows, so you have pretty, a good an idea to how you're gonna make this
Yeah.
more attractive.
We will. And so we'll discuss internally and then obviously
Then
arrange.
let me know, and then I'll
Yes.
set up a Zoom for the pre-meeting, and whoever wants to join,
Okay,
or we finalize it.
excellent.
right.
Okay, sounds
Thank you.
good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, guys.
Doug and Chris,
Appreciate it.
Thank
any
you.
questions? Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
yep.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we have some minutes. And we have Elliot. And anything from the board? Anybody wants to, why don't we do that first? Has anybody got anything on the board they would like to mention? Today, I know, Kat, you wanted to do something.
I strongly encourage the planning board to look at some of the zoning revision markups that are taking place. I think, and maybe Elliot, you can speak to that as well, but I think right now the sections that are going through are the planning board roles and responsibilities, a number of zoning board of appeals, and a number of items on site plans. Essentially anything from 93 onwards. There's some items, I personally have opinions on, and I'll be tomorrow at the planning board meeting the zoning board meeting to discuss
Oh,
those.
that's tomorrow? Thank you.
Town board.
Well, the zoning revision meeting, yeah.
Yeah, the zoning revision meeting will be tomorrow. I believe it's at 7:00. And we did actually make some changes in the section dealing with the planning board. So we'll be talking about, but we didn't finalize them, so we will be talking about that section again tomorrow. We also made a few changes. If you bear with me, I can quickly look up what we did. We did make some changes in the section 250-91, which is the section on building. I believe it's on building permits. Those are mostly administrative rather than substantive. We also discussed a couple of other sections, but did not make any changes. Although we did go back and make one in section 250-22, which has to do with accessory structures. And we will continue on from 95 to, depending on how much time we have. The point is, we're getting close to the end now. And this is a good time, at least in terms of not necessarily revisiting what we've already done, but what we're talking about from here on out. And there will be an opportunity to revisit what we've already done when we get to the public hearing stage. So first and third Wednesdays of the month at 7 o'clock at Town Hall. I believe we're doing a live YouTube streaming. But of course, if you want to participate, you need to be there. YouTube is not participatory. It's only, you can only watch it. So I don't know if that answers your question, Kat, but that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to discuss the details of the changes and my
Sure.
comment here. I think I'll save it for tomorrow.
No, save those for tomorrow. Yeah. Save those.
I would also highlight this section that was I think relevant for the conversation we just had. There was some changes to lot size requirements for some types of buildings. So for example, 2-family dwelling, there was a proposal to make that requirement smaller than it used to be. So there are some changes that could be relevant for what could be done in a subdivision, for example, or a lot size.
Yeah, anything prior to what we're talking about now, though, you want to save.
Right, exactly.
And bring it up later. Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. And I'm sure there will be many of those from many people.
Right. But again, I think now it's, it's kind of getting to the finish line. So
Yes, it's getting close. Right.
the one thing that Elliot,
Yeah.
my sense is the one thing that is not being considered for any sort of revision right now is the short-term rental law.
Not right now. No, but it's, I mean, it is on the table. Certainly, we've talked about it. And we talked about it, in fact, at the last town board meeting. I don't know, for any of you who may have seen it or otherwise on YouTube. I did mention when I gave my planning board report, which was, I guess, last Tuesday, that, two issues I brought up that the town board needs to consider, short-term rentals being one because of the concerns that have been raised. And also the ZBA meeting last couple of weeks ago, issue having to do with, this is one that's been around for years. It'll sound very familiar to anybody who's been on the planning board for a while, having running water and accessory structures, or not, as the case might be. And at the moment, it's pretty vague in terms of what's allowed and what's not. And the ZBA had an application, went around for a couple of hours trying to make a decision, and did ultimately, but also made a request that the town board consider that issue as part of the zoning revision. So there's at least two issues that need to be looked at. But there will be more, no doubt, there will be more.
But you're saying that it will not be looked at this, I mean, it doesn't seem like it. Or should we all actively show up in the meeting and speak about it? Is that the only way to get it on table?
In terms of the short-term rental,
Mhm.
I still maintain, I think we need to wait at least a while as these responses come in from the people who are running them, who are operating them, we still don't know, we still don't have a level playing field because we still don't know who these people are, or at least not all of them. I guess we've had a fair number of responses to the letters. Arlene could probably be more specific, but we're still waiting. And I would suggest for the STR, we might want to hold that in abeyance for a little while. There's plenty of other things we can talk about in the meantime. Arlene, are you out there? How many responses have we gotten? Do you know?
Oh, they're all responding. They're very, I mean, not all, but a lot. I'm getting bombarded with phone calls and emails and everything.
Would you
But
say that half of the 60 have answered?
I would say so, yes.
Okay,
Some
well,
of
that's
them-
pretty good. It's only been a couple of weeks.
But some of them, they claim that they don't do it anymore.
Right, I understand
It
that.
was just,
Right.
they, in the beginning, they started and they stopped doing it. Some of them are like saying, all right, what do I do? So they're in the process of, getting their house ready in compliance because we
Right.
have that checklist, that we
Right.
have to go through before inspection. So,
Well, in terms of the people who say they aren't doing it anymore, all we need to do is look at the Airbnb website a month from now and see if they're
yes,
still
because I
there.
told them to
And then we'll
delete
know
it,
whether that's true or not.
to remove it,
But-
yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a process. It's going to take a little time. I think we need to let it play out, Kat, before we start jumping in and stirring the pot too much at this
And-
point.
And there are some people that just very stubborn, that they don't want to call or respond, and they're still doing it. So I think we got to start imposing that.
Well,
And,
then we need to have, we talked about this at the last meeting. I think it was Jack who brought this up. Obviously, we need to have a mechanism for enforcing. And if the people who don't respond, then they simply have to they have to be cited and
Yeah.
told they have to stop. I mean, that's a simple thing. And if they don't stop, the town has to be willing to back it up by taking him to court and getting them to have a stop work order or whatever is involved. But we're not going to know that until I don't know if, I would imagine as part of this letter, I didn't actually see it, that there was a deadline that we asked people to respond by a certain point. If that time comes, non-respondents are going to have to be chased down. There's nothing more we can do.
well, they were asked to contact me on the letter.
Right.
But other than that, no. But I mean, most of them, once they receive a letter, they get scared, So I guess it's a question of, it's a matter of follow-up, you know what I'm saying? Because if we just ignore
Right.
it,
But you
So
can't,
it's
you can't
like-
follow up too soon. You need to give
Yes.
people a reasonable amount of time before you start following up. And I don't think we're quite there yet because it hasn't been that long.
yeah, January 21, when I sent those letters.
Yeah, so it's only been what, 2
Not
weeks,
even a month.
3 weeks, maybe?
And
Anyway,
we
Kat,
got a lot
I
of
would
them.
hold that in abeyance for the moment, Kat. Let's focus, try to clean up these other things. There's plenty of work to do.
Okay. Anybody have anything else for Elliot? If not, we have 2 sets of minutes.
We don't have Jerry,
Can we get a motion? to-
there's Jack.
I'm here. I
Jack, you
move,
wanna give me a motion to approve 12/19/21?
I move we approve the minutes for December 19th, 2021.
I need a second. Did I get a second?
Esther, what's wrong with your audio?
Okay, second, all right. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, Jack, 1-4.
And I move we approve the minutes for January 4th, 2022.
Second.
Okay, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. That takes care of that. Anybody else have anything?
We could adjourn and then we could talk.
Okay, all right. Okay. Meeting, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Okay, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Good job, everybody. Jack, nice job on that Milia thing, and
You had the right idea, which was to say, don't come here till you can tell us
yeah,
what you're
and
going to do.
and you too, Paul. That was a very good suggestion, so thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right,
The recording has stopped.
okay.
The recording
Right.
is stuff.
Now
Wait a
we can say
minute,
whatever we want.
I'm still live on YouTube. Hold
Oh.
on. There's so much stuff that I have to do in here. Just relax for a moment. Live streaming end. There you go.
Okay, how you doing,
Oh,
Mike?
we're free. Oh, by the way, this is gonna be our